Unit 6 test review tutorial. I will work through the problems with you, and hopefully you can understand each one so that you can be successful in your upcoming test. Number 1, I want you to label each statement as true or false. The first statement says, a segment that connects the midpoints of two sides of a triangle is called a mid-segment of the triangle, which is true. Statement 2, a mid-segment of a triangle is 1/3 the length of one side of the triangle. That's false. Statement 3, a mid-segment of a triangle is parallel to one side of the triangle. That is true. And statement 4, a mid-segment of a triangle intersects a vertex of the triangle. That is false. Number 2 wants us to find the value of x. I know that this little line right here in the middle of the triangle is a mid-segment because this is a midpoint and this is also a midpoint. And from our notes, you should recall that a mid-segment is equal to 1/2 of the parallel side. So in this picture, that means x is equal to 1/2 of 45. So that means x is going to equal, what is that, 22.5? Number 3, in triangle ABC is a mid-segment triangle. In other words, x to A is congruent to A to Y. X to B is congruent to B to Z. And YC is congruent to CZ. So there's all three of these segments, segment AB, AC, and BC are mid-segments of the much larger triangle XYZ. And then it gives us some other values that we need to label. XY is 20. So the whole distance is 20. So that means each part, well, we can get into that in a moment. And then YZ is 25. And XZ is 30. It wants us to find the perimeter of ABC. To find the perimeter, I would first find AB. AB is a mid-segment, and it's going to equal 1/2 of the parallel side, which is YZ. So that means it's 1/2 of 25, which would make it 12.5. So AB is 12.5. Now I can find the other mid-segments using the same rule. I can find AC because I know AC is 1/2 of XZ. That's the side AC is parallel with. So that means it's 1/2 of 30, which means it's 15. So AC is 15. And then lastly, I can find BC, which is 1/2 of XY, which means it's 1/2 of 20, that means it's 10. And now to find the perimeter, I add up all my sides. So the perimeter of ABC is going to equal 15 plus 10 plus 12.5, which would give me 25 plus 12 is 37.5. Number 4 wants you to illustrate an example of each type. For the AA, in other words, angle-angle similarity postulate, you need to have at least 2 angles congruent in each triangle. So I could say this is 90 degrees, and this is also 90 degrees. And then I could mark this as 30 degrees, and this one as 30 degrees. And that would be enough information to represent the angle-angle similarity postulate. For side angle side similarity, you need an angle that's included. So for example, I could say this is 35 degrees and this is 35 degrees as well. Included between 2 proportional sides. So let's say this side is 2, it's proportional with 4, and then this one is 3, and this is 6. 3 is proportional to 6 for the same reason that 2 is proportional with 4. So again, you have your proportional sides with your angle included in the middle. For side-side-side similarity, you need to have all sides proportional. So for example, 1 is to 2 as 5 is to 10 as 6 is to 12. Those sides are all proportional. Again, because 1 over 2 is equal to 5 over 10 is equal to 6 over 12. Because they all reduce to 1/2. And this one wants triangles that are not similar, so you can make any example up. The choice is yours. So let's say I have 2, 4, 3, 6, 3, and then I'll have an angle of 30 here and 30 here. So there's 2 reasons why these 2 triangles are not similar. First reason, the 2 pictures don't have an included angle on both in the correct spot. Number 2 is that the sides are not proportional. In other words, 2 to 4 is not like the same as 6 to 3. If I reduce 2 to 4, that gives me 1 over 2. But if I reduce 6 over 3, that gives me 2 over 1. So the sides are not proportional, which the sides have to be proportional if they're going to be similar. So there was 2 reasons. Again, both, the first one being the included angle was in the left triangle but not on the right triangle, or the congruent angle. was included on the left, not the right. And then the sides are not proportional. Number 5 wants us to solve this proportion. You simply just cross multiply. 5 times x is 5x. Set that equal to 8 times 6.325. So let's grab our handy dandy calculator and multiply 8 and 6.325. 50.6. So 5x is equal to 50.6. And then divide both sides by 5. Make sure you know how to show your work, folks. We need to see your work for full credit. So divide by 5 now. And it's 10.12. Alright, for number 8, it wants us to find FH. So let's call FHX so that GH is parallel with DE. In reverse, if the lines are already parallel, we know that these 4 parts on the outer perimeter are proportional. So we need to show that these are proportional. In other words, set up the proportion. And then we've done what we're supposed to. So one way you could set up this proportion is take 15 over 6 is equal to 10 over x. Left over left, right over right, kind of is what I did. Or you can put 15 over 10 is equal to 6 over x. So the first time I went top, bottom, the second one I did was I went left, right, left, right. Either one is fine. I could have gone bottom, top, bottom, top. Be careful. As long as you go the same direction for both fractions, you are okay on your setup. So now let's cross multiply. So that's 15 times x. So 15x is equal to 6 times 10, which is 60. Divide both sides by 15. So x is equal to 4. Or I'm sorry, HF is equal to 4 because that's what we were looking for. Make sure you do go back and read your questions, ladies and gents. I would hate for you to miss a problem because you didn't answer the final question. So to be honest, X was not even in this problem in the beginning. It was HF. So make sure you answer that question. All right, number 6 says the 3 angles of a triangle are in the ratio 5 to 9 to 11. What is the degree measure of the largest angle? So on this extended ratio, it's called an extended ratio because it has more than 2 numbers. You're simply going to add any variable behind each number and make sure it's the same variable each time. So let's use x. Why not? So that would be 5x, 9x, and 11x. And we're going to add all 3 together. And since these 3 represent angles, what is the total of the angles in this triangle? 180. Please don't forget that. So that's the sum of the angles. Now we can combine our x's. 5 plus 9 is 14, plus 11 would give me 25. X is equal to 180. Now we're going to divide both sides by 25. So x is equal to 7.2. Now that we know what x is, we need to go back and read the question. So we're going to take x and plug it back into our original equation. But if you look at it, the angle with the largest, or the largest angle is going to have the largest ratio value. So that means the 11 part of the ratio is all we're going to need on this part. So we're going to take 11x, in other words, 11 times 7.2, and this will give us the largest angle. So 7.2 times 11, 79.2. So 79.2 degrees is our largest angle. On number 9, it wants us to find the value of x. We got a series of 3 parallel lines that divided into proportional parts. So we can do 5 is to x plus 3, as 8 is to 2x, or you could do 5 is to 8 as x plus 3 is to 2x. It really doesn't matter. So let's say I went with the one on the left. I would multiply 5 times 2x and get 10x. Then 8 times x, which is 8x, plus 8 times 3, which is 24. And then I would subtract 8x on both sides, which would leave me with 2x is equal to 24. And then divide both sides by 2, so x is equal to 12. The majority of this test, ladies and gentlemen, is making sure that you know how to set up proportions correctly. So be careful when you do so. All right, number 7 tells us that ABCD is similar to EFGH. I like color, so I'm going to go ahead and highlight the proportional sides. So BC is like FG. Reason being, if you look at the angle markings, angle B and angle F are congruent, angle C and angle G are congruent. Then CD is proportional with GH. AD is proportional to EH. Which leaves AB and EF. So if you didn't have the picture, looking at the similarity statement would have given you that same information. Again, the similarity statement is this right here. So don't forget that term. And it's just a matter of knowing which angles are congruent by what position they are in. So since A and E are both first, they're congruent. B and F are second, they're congruent. C and G, third, they're congruent. D and H are fourth, they're congruent. So now that you know who corresponds with who, you can write your proportions. So I can do BA, that's supposed to be the B, is to FE, as BC is to FG. So now I can replace it with the actual measurements on the picture. So BA was 12, FE was 10, BC was 30, FG x minus 4. Now we can go ahead and solve. Cross multiply, so that's 12 times x, which is 12x, minus 12 times 4, which is 48, is equal to 10 times 30, which is 300. Now I would add 48 to both sides, giving me 12x equals 348. And then divide both sides by 12. 348 divided by 12 is 29. So x equals 29. On number 10, it tells us that triangle ABC is similar to triangle XYZ. So since the triangles are similar, the altitudes are proportional just like the sides. So these altitudes are proportional. And then they give us another pair of sides that are also proportional. This side AC is proportional with XZ. Now that you know the proportional sides, set up your proportion. So AP is like XQ as AC is to XZ. So in other words, AP, which we don't know, so let's call it, I guess we'll call it X. There's so many X's going on, I don't want you to be confused. AP is X, XQ is 5, AC is 27, XZ is 12. So now that the proportion is set up properly, go ahead and cross multiply. So 12 times x is 12x. Set it equal to 5 times 27. Which is 135. And then you're going to divide that by 12. 11.25. So again, 5 times 27 was 135. And then divide that by 12, and you're going to get 11.25 for x. But again, go back and read the question. We are looking for AP. But in this case, we called APX. So again, AP is 11.25. I'm going to pause right here and resume the rest of the questions in just a moment.